Hey, welcome back to another episode of GrindWise. It's Bourbon Ball Caps and Business. Today, you do not want to miss a second of this because for $20 a month, we're going to show you how your business trajectory could change forever utilizing AI. AI is one of those terms that's getting thrown around a lot lately, and people, whether you're confused about it, intrigued about it, or maybe just a little bit interested in it, if you're a business owner and you're not using it today, this conversation today might just change how you feel about it altogether. But Brent, before we get going, it's Bourbon Ball Caps and Business. I see some bottles out here I'm pretty excited to hear about. And normally we just chatter away and this, that, and the other and look over at those bottles. But I kind of want to get started. These things are interesting before we get into anything else.
Absolutely. So we have a loyal fan, actually family of mine, and went to high school with, Melissa Stanley. She lives in Branson. She loves episodes, and she hit me up after our last one aired. Said she had to have her blood pressure checked because she was laughing so hard. But she tells me about this company. She got invited to a whiskey tasting, and if you ever meet Melissa, you would never believe that she drinks whiskey. And I was shocked as she'd sent it to me. But she told me about this company, and they have a really cool story. So it's called a Horse Soldier, and this is their lower bottle, and this is their bigger bottle, proof wise. So
one's stronger than the other.
Absolutely.
So I saw a little difference in colors.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So this is 110 proof, I believe. I'm gonna butcher that probably, and I think this one was 87 proof, and they have a 90 proof as well. So the cool thing about these bottles, so it says Horse Soldier. I did some research on the company just for whatever, so we could have something to.
The pretty bottles.
The bottles are forged from steel from 9/11. You ever seen the movie 12 Strong? Mm-hmm. Three of the four soldiers in 12 Strong are the guys that own this distillery.
Albenar.
So it's, they have a huge long story on their website. I got on the website, immediately bought a couple bottles, figured we'd talk about him and, throw out to him. But the movie 12 Strong was the first 12 soldiers that were covertly put in on horseback, outnumbered 40-1 against the Taliban right after 9/11. So we should start out light.
Okay. Yeah, and I did double check you on that because we got to know it's 55% alcohol by volume, so it's 110 proof. I've watched my episodes of Moonshiners. I know. I don't need to do the bubble test. Looking good. That's pretty. It's pretty color. It's a little lighter. It's a little lighter than the stronger proof one.
Yep.
Now, here's the question though. We've got Blue Couch in here as always, and do we want to get him involved in this? Because my gosh, did he even bring a glass?
He's got a glass.
Okay, we've got to involve him. I mean, you know what? It might make for some fun camera work later here, but let's get that glass over here, Brandon. All right. It's not even his birthday. We got him going on that. There we go. We'll get you started. So this is, what proof was this?
This was 87 proof.
Okay, and these bottles were forged from the steel. So I'm assuming the plate itself or all of the bottle?
They use to forge the glass. They're using steel from 9/11
to make the glass.
Yeah.
How do you make glass from steel?
I don't know. I might be wrong, but that's what I have the whole thing, and I could read this whole 10-page deal. But it does say they're offered with solid bottles pressed in molds made from steel salvaged from the World Trade Center.
I'll be darned. Well, cheers to that.
Yep. Pretty smooth.
Wow, that's really smooth.
Yeah.
Like there was no bite to it.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I did sample this one, obviously, and there's a bite to that one.
Yes, that's good. Well, I'm gonna slide that back over here. That's
Keep
really
it away
good.
from me.
That's gonna be tough to beat. That was
good.
really. You get, a lot of times on the bourbons, you get that rollback. It hits your sinuses, and you're like,
Yep. No, that's smooth.
Oh, so good. But
smooth,
this is really good. So I was gone for a week. You were up here for a week. I was down seeing family in Texas, stuff like that. It was cold down there. It was cold up here. I didn't think I'd catch a single fish. I got to tell you, though, the mastery continues. I did pull in a largemouth out of the pond in the backyard.
So let me get this straight. I'm up here with 4 inches of ice on my pool,
right?
And you're having were you ice fishing?
No, but it was cold. It was cold, and a couple of the ponds did have ice. The big one, it has a big fountain in it, and we had a little gap in our day. Sometimes we get those, and I ran down the hill and I was flipping it out there, and the stuff I normally catch the bass with or the catfish, I wasn't getting any bites, and I went back to my buddy up in Washington says, don't ever tell anybody our secret. I'm going to tell you our secret right now, and I could have an entire tackle box with these, and I'd never have a problem fishing, but white rooster tails never fails. I threw one on. I got rid of all the traditional bass stuff that I was out there flipping with, and threw out a rooster tail, second cast, bam, hit it, and pulled up a largemouth, took my selfie photo, threw the fish back, went back up to work. But I was extending my trip fishing there this time.
That's all I use for fishing is rooster tails. So that's interesting,
really?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where I'm at, Washington, wherever I'm at. I've never used one though up in Alaska. A lot of people know I'm from Alaska. Never used one up there. I kind of like to. That'd be something else pulling in. It'd have to be a pretty big rooster tail, I think. But I bet I'd catch a halibut or two on that too.
So whenever I lived up in Kansas, I built a big, 6-acre pond and stocked it and everything else. And we go out there and we're fishing with my 2 girls, and they were 5 and 7 or something like that. I'm out there throwing the cast in, and then they come down, and I get their little poles hooked up and everything. And I hadn't caught anything yet, and I'm like, I paid all this money to stock this pond, right? And first cast, both of them fish. I was like, what is the deal? But we were all using rooster tails. They just, I don't know. They had a sweeter smell to their lure, I guess.
So I know you went to the casino last night again. You were successful. It's not like he's at the casino all the time, you guys, but once in a while you go there, and the difference between you and me is I can walk in with $200, and before I touch a slot machine, the money's gone. You seem to sit down at every winner there is, and you walked out ahead of the game again. Didn't get kicked out this time.
I did not get kicked out this time. However, we walk in, and the funny thing is, when I get to the casino, and I always park, beside 2 vehicles. Obviously, I don't want anybody door dinging my truck, so I always make sure that I'm far enough away. I'm usually in and out of the casino before anybody around me leaves. So I'm in and out of there. So we were there maybe an hour, walked in, $200. I took my $200. My wife took her $200, and I hit 1,000, got up a little more, then lost. I left with 800 in my pocket, and the 200 I gave her, she left with 700 in her pocket. So I was like, you know what? She goes, what do you want to do? I said, I want to leave.
the only machines that I win on there, or the games that I win on in the casino, is the buffet. I come out ahead every time there. And the change machine, I seem to always come out even on that one too. So those, I try to stick to those. I don't lose any money, and I come out ahead really on the buffet side. So it's that old adage, I can't even wear a white t-shirt. Someone's eating a burrito a mile away, I'm going to get taco sauce on me. It's just one of those life things. So today we're going to talk about AI. We're going to talk, you and I, we're involved in it all the time. We use it daily within our business. A lot of the constructs that we have for the different family of companies that we own, we use AI. It's predominant in almost everything we do, right?
100%.
And there's been a lot of changes, right? There's people right now that this is what's crazy, and not to get political, certainly don't want to do that, especially on some of the platforms we're on. But it's funny to me, some of the stories that are coming out. And I was watching a guy this morning. He was in absolute tears, and he said he was regretting his vote. He voted for Mr. T, right? Yep. And he was regretting his vote because he had just lost his job, and it turns out he was heading up this big federal program. And they lost all federal funding. I don't remember how many million it was a year, but they were trying to determine whether or not bears poop in the woods. So it seems like those projects are going to the wayside now. I'm kidding. But a guy did a parody video, and I was cracking up. And he's like, I can't believe it. We've been studying this for years. We really want to find out if bears actually, because there was one of those where there was money going out, and they were studying the effects of tequila on sunfish.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, that's tax dollars well spent. I mean, I want to know if I'm going to go drinking with the sunfish. I want to make sure it doesn't get crazy.
I want to bring up something though. And I know we had a whole episode on this, so I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole here with it. But Remember we talked about how all the federal employees got that letter? You know, they got another one.
No.
If you don't respond, you resign. And it's, what have you done? List 5 things that you've done in the past 6 months. And when you reply, CC your manager. And if you don't respond, so, you know, then there's, of course, the TikTok reels going around where, you know, some boss comes in an office, they just bought a company or something, and she walks up to a guy's hand, shakes his hand. She goes, I really am really excited for us to schedule some time so we can, you know, you can tell me what it is that you do here. And he's like, okay, yeah. And she goes, so what do you do here? And he goes, excuse me, and walked off.
Really?
And he's over there in the corner going, what businesses that have heard is what I do here?
Oh my gosh. You know, here's another thought. I was thinking, I was coming out the door this morning, heading over to the studio so we could do this. I was thinking, you know, there's a lot of things that we talk about where an expletive might be appropriate. And I grabbed one of my dog's squeaky toys and I'm like, I could just squeeze this. And every time I want to do it, but we don't want to create a bunch of work for Blue Couch. They already do such a good job for us. Brandon's amazing over there. So back over to AI, right? We use it all the time. I don't think people are aware that $20 a month that they might spend for ChatGPT 4.0, which is, you know, that's kind of the upgrade on that. It's in my opinion, one of the best tools. I use it probably more than I use anything out there. If you think back and you remember when chat came out and everybody's like, oh, it's open source. So you can go in here and you can just type what you want. And of course, people are in there. Gosh, now what do I do? This is so new. Write me a dirty limerick, you know? And they're like, look at this. And write a love letter to my girlfriend. Oh my gosh, I'm a genius. You know, I don't think people really grasp what it's capable of doing.
Right.
And we use it every day. We use it in so many different facets, and of course, we own tools and programs that are laced with AI engines and large language models and things like that. But just if people understood how to use ChatGPT, understood the prompting side of it and what it's capable of, their minds would be changed. Now, I will tell you, we have some reports, some things that I pulled up, some information. This is all going to be available in the description tab over there. We'll give it to you for free. It's a really complete breakdown on how AI can affect your business and things like that. Because I think the biggest concern that comes with it, Brent, is people are worried I'm going to lose my job to AI and things like that. And I just want to be the first to tell you that's true. Some of you are going to lose your jobs to AI. But here's the difference. The businesses that adopt AI right now versus their competitors are going to be the ones that are around when the competitors are gone. So you can pick whichever side you want to be on. But if you aren't spending that $20 a month for the AI employee, that's literally what it costs. You're missing the mark. So here's what got my mind thinking on this. So I'm down there. Obviously, I'd prefer to be fishing and out there doing what we do, shooting guns and fishing and having a good time. But it was really cold down in Texas where I was at. But I have a cousin. He's a developer. He develops property. He bought some land years back, been trying to put houses on it, and he's been communicating with the guy that he bought this land from. It was a private land sale, but he wanted to develop it, and everything was great when it came down to getting the money. But the problem was he didn't want to capitulate. He didn't want to follow suit with the contract that was there. So now they have all of these emails back and forth for years, trying to get him to sign off, trying to get him to allow this so that they can sell the property that they're developing and get their money back, right? They got a lot of dead money associated with this. They've paid employees, they bought construction supplies, earth movers, and the market for selling homes and properties was a little bit hotter then than it is right now. And he's like, we're gonna have to go into litigation. I'm gonna have to sue them, and I got to compile all this stuff. And I said, well, just use AI. And the look on his face was like, what? Yeah, just use AI. You do that. He goes, well, I've got to go back through every one of these emails, and there's some of them are strings that are really long, and I've got to figure out how to organize them. I got to organize them. I said, use AI. He's like, and it's not hitting him, right? It's not resonating with him just yet. And he's like, what? And I said, look, you can have chat do that, and it'll organize everything. He's like, how's that even possible? So I sat down, and it because I do a lot of prompting, I do a lot of work on it, and I'm not just writing dirty limericks, right? For those of you that don't know what a limerick is, I'm kidding. That's not what I'm just doing there, right? So I said, let me formulate it, because what people don't realize is you can literally tell it what you want it to accomplish. This is what we want to do, right? You remember when you first got started? I mean, what are some of the things you worked on with AI?
Well, so one of the first things I worked on was, and I completely forgot it even does this because I went down the whole marketing and all that stuff for everything else. But one thing I was doing was asking it how to write certain code, and it would actually give you that code, and you copy paste, and you got it going. So I mean, everything I was doing, everything we both do every day. Without AI, I mean, you and I right now in a 10 years ago situation, what we do on a day-to-day basis would take a whole team of people to do day-to-day.
Oh, and forever and ever and ever to get it done. Well, back to this example. So I'm talking to my cousin. I said, here, let me orchestrate it for you. I'm going to write all the prompts. I understand what you want to get accomplished. So let me tell it what I want to do. And this is where people miss the mark with it because you're paying for this tool. It's $20. It's a lot smarter than you and I are. Frankly, it is, right? If you describe in detail what you're hoping to accomplish, what you're trying to achieve, and the format in which you're going to do it, and then you ask it for suggestions on how you should construct it, it'll tell you. So in this instance, I said, hey, look, I'm getting ready to go into a litigious situation. I want to upload the actual contract to you. Then I want to upload all of the emails to you. I want you to organize those emails chronologically, date and time by conversation. Make sure all of that's in there. And then I want you to highlight and identify everywhere within those communications that there's been breaches within the contract. And so then I extrapolated a little farther. And I said, do a test based on these emails, so on and so forth. It runs a test. And I say, I want you to go a little more long form on this. I want you to explain it more and formulate it in a table that I can reference to, but also give me the reference point in the contract where I should be referring. Great. I also told it, as we go into this completion, I'm going to enter fields that are dollar amounts spent, what we spent it on. I want you to look at interest rates on standard loans back in, what was that at the time, 2002. And I want you to weigh it against 2003, 2004, 2025. And now we're going to talk about the dead money issue, right? So I had it start creating this thing. My cousin's just blown away. Number one, he was a little hesitant. He's $20 every month. Yeah. Like, you don't realize what you can do with this. And today we're going to talk about some of the things you can do with AI, with that $20 employee that literally can replace employees within your business if you think that's prudent. But more importantly, take advantage of what it can do. So the end result was when it went in there and I had him put everything into files and it started organizing, he was just blown away. He's like, this would have taken me forever. This task, just to organize this, would have taken me forever and I would have missed things. All I'm doing is putting it into folders. I'm doing the upload. And AI told me exactly what I ended up doing was I created an entire outline based on the AI. I said, create an outline, create a training to create a step-by-step guide as it relates to this project for what I'm wanting to accomplish. People don't realize that you can do that. It's not just for writing love stories or responding to texts, right? It does some really cool stuff. And we're going to talk about those things. But anyway, did you know it could do that?
I didn't. When you called and told me that, I was blown away. Now I know. I sit at ChatGPT and I type and tell it I want to email and I want emojis or for marketing or whatever. Then if I don't like it, I'm just like, try again. But you're like, try again, except this time don't use a rocket ship, use a spaceship, and it's got to have a flat nose instead of a point. You go full in a lot of detail and. It's actually changed the way I talk to it because you can really make it do what you want it to do. I will tell you, I have found that it was wrong once.
Mm-hmm. It's wrong more than once. This is why you always have to read your results.
Yep. Right.
For instance, so people go out there and they start dipping their toe in this AI world, in this chat world, and they're like, okay, I'm going to get in here. And then whatever the result is, they just take it as gospel. And you can't do that, right? You have to proofread and you have to pay attention to what the result is. And the result that comes up isn't always the result that you want. It's okay to tell it, I like that, but do it again, rewrite, and change these fields and parameters, and then omit these sections. And then I want you to redact these portions of the contract because it's not germane to the conversation. You can literally say it like that, and it's going to go, okay. And here comes a whole new result, right? But to do that, a project that would have probably taken him several weeks, really grinding in and doing it outside of everything he did, it took me maybe 30 minutes to write it out and then to create all of the sequences, the outlines, and then I explained what the entire project was going to encompass, and I had to break it down step by step on how it was going to feed in. And then I had it create a chronological collective to where once he takes those prompts, and I set it up on his computer, okay, you can say, okay, go, give me the first question. And now he starts answering a field of questions, which is educating it so that it can complete the whole project. People don't realize, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist. You just have to be able to articulate what you want to achieve, and it'll tell you if it can't do it.
That right there, so how long did it take to populate the results?
Matter of seconds.
Okay, so think about if this was you or I 10 years ago and we were in a lawsuit of some kind. Mm-hmm. You gather all the emails, and what do? You send them to your attorney, and they do all that. Now you're talking about, instead of $20 a month, you're talking $300, $400, $500 an hour for them to go through and do exactly what AI just
on
did.
One attorney, right? Because then they're going to have to bring in the specialty attorney, and then this person's really good in this arena. We want to help you, but it's all billable hours.
Yeah. It's like we said, it's AI is a game changer in every small business out there, and if you're not using it, you're going to get left behind.
Well, you're going to get left behind, literally. I mean, the people that are using it are going to come out miles and miles ahead. That's why our business is set up the way it is. I mean, we have the whole family of Turing, and there's just so many different aspects to what we do.
Why don't you tell people about Turing? Because that's I didn't know about Turing till we met. So
right.
I think it's a good. I actually was going to ask you about that in this conversation about tell us about Alan Turing. I started to watch the movie from 2014 or something. Mm-hmm. I didn't finish it yet, but seems like a really smart guy. Why don't you tell me about him?
He was beyond smart. I mean, some of the stuff that he created back in the 50s still rival the supercomputers today. But Alan Turing was just way beyond his time in the things that he created. There's, of course, it was more rudimentary. It was knob turning and things like that. But the way the thought process worked and the things that he was able to do, he's regarded as the father of artificial intelligence. People don't. Where did AI come from? Alan Turing.
And that was in the 40s. 50s?
Yeah, maybe the guy. It's just his life was just genius. He's probably from the future. Who knows? I don't know. Then we can go down. Yeah, we can go down that rabbit hole.
We need to find out where his flux capacitor is.
It's in the DeLorean. Clearly, it's in the DeLorean. But anyway, Alan Turing was considered the father of AI. I mean, if people want to know about it, there's some great reads, some great quotes from him. He's just well beyond his time. But that's why when we started these companies, knowing that we were going to lean so heavy into artificial intelligence, and that's the next industrial revolution, that's why we tipped our cap and we named it Try Turing and Market Turing and Infinite Turing and Profit Turing. And of course, then we have TJ Corporate Credit Consultants. But that's Alan Turing. That's the homage, the tip of the cap to him.
Yeah,
good old Alan.
Well, that's watching the movie, like you said, he was definitely beyond his time. I mean, the way he thought, he got rid of a whole team of people because you guys aren't doing this right, and did it himself, and then brings them back in and shows them how to do it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's an from the part, as much as I've seen of it, it's a great story and an amazing story. Well,
they still have what's called the Turing test, and we talked about this on another podcast, which is just that ability to test artificial intelligence and try to determine whether or not is it live or is it Memorex, right? That old commercial. But is this a real person or am I speaking with artificial intelligence? Can it pass the Turing test? So they talk about that. I got to see how our producer's doing. You're ahead of the game.
I am. I'm waiting. I'm just waiting on you guys to finish up so we can go after that.
All right, let's move on to the next one because this is Bourbon, Ball Caps, and Business. So what are we into now? It's another horse soldier, right?
Yep. This is 110 proof. This one, get ready. This is some strong stuff right here.
That's the 110 proof, right? 55% alcohol.
You want me to fill it all the way up?
No, we're good. We're good. Just make sure it's even. I don't want you to cheat me on any of that stuff. And it's metal. I mean, this doesn't feel like it's not a label. It's not a peel and stick label. It certainly doesn't feel that way. This feels like it's actual metal. That's really, really cool. I think these aren't throwaway bottles.
So I want to read something interesting that's on here.
Okay.
There's a cap. All right. So it says, in terms of funding, what did you learn that you can share with other startups? Well, I know a lot of those.
This is in the Horse Soldiers.
Yeah, this is on their website. Right when you get on there, you have to say you're 21 years old, and then it pulls this up.
God, wouldn't that have been cool? 17, ordering up booze. Anyway,
right.
Whole of the rabbit hole, yes.
It says, we were not prepared for the early success of the brand, which is a great problem to have, but it is, in fact, a problem. We thought that we would have 1,000 cases maybe in the first year sold, that in the first month is what they actually did, and then reserved another 1,000 cases sold. So they were flying. They started this thing bootstrapping with their own dollars and just took off. I mean, that's amazing. I love that. I love that story. I just,
what if we could get him on the podcast? Maybe we could talk to him.
I think I'll tag him on the podcast and see. I'll reach out to him. I think that's great. I love the story and anyway, but yeah, I just had to read that. I thought that was really cool.
This is what, not in church. I turned the volume all the way down on this. I'm shooting a podcast, and I turned the volume all the way down on my phone, and it just, it seems like that's what happens anyway.
Well, you ready to try it?
Yeah, I'm ready to try it. So this is 110 proof. This one's darker now.
Yeah, this one's, we're going to be slurring in a minute.
This will be a fun moment for all you guys, right? Hi, son. Really good. For some reason, I thought I turned the ringer off on my phone, and I'm literally in the middle of shooting a podcast live, and the phone keeps ringing, and it's my son. Love you.
Why aren't you watching our podcast?
He is watching our podcast now. Yeah. Anyway, I've got to go back to T-Mobile, figure out why my phone's not turning off. But for everybody wondering, this is my son up in Washington. Apple of my eye. Son, I love you, but I'm in the middle of a podcast. We're going to shut it off, and then I'm going to figure out why my phone's ringing when the ringer's off, okay?
Absolutely. Talk to you later.
Okay. Love you, son. We're actually going to turn the phone all the way off because clearly that's a problem. I turned it all the way down. I do it every time. I just double-checked it. And turned
it wasn't
down.
ringing. It was just vibrating. So you have it on vibrate when it's on silent.
Huh? And it vibrates.
And if it was an iPhone, I can show you how to fix that.
Here we go. Yeah.
We're talking about AI. Mm-hmm. My phone updated, my iPhone, and there's a lot of AI built into it now.
Right.
I started showing
almost
you earlier.
as much as an Android. Yeah, they're definitely catching up.
I also have ChatGPT as a keyboard in my keyboard for texting, so I can literally type something. I can tell somebody how I'm really feeling, and then say, make that more professional, and then it comes out like I put a lot of thought and effort into it, just copy paste and it's in there.
See, I've never needed chat to be eloquent with my words, but anyway,
Well, I have that.
But I'm an Android user. As an Android user, that's to be expected.
I have the red. It's called redneckanese.
Redneckanese.
Yeah. When
Solid.
I say what I want to say when I want to say it, and then I think back and I'm like, I should have said it this way.
We may not make it to this bottle, clearly. All right. So let's talk about maybe somebody's watching this and they're going, okay, well, that's really cool, Earl. Hey, Brent, thanks for the story. Glad you won at the casino. But what am I going to do with AI? What can I do in my business with AI? And why do I even want to bring this in here? And how do I choose, right? Got the report, all these reports that I have. You guys are going to be able to go into the description there. You'll be able to click on it. We'll send it out to you. It's no problem. We did the research for you, but there's a lot of information. By the way, if you're in there, make sure you smash the like and subscribe button and hit us up in the DMs and let us know what else you want to hear us talk about. And if you manufacture bourbon, definitely hit us up. We might just feature your bottle on our show here at GrindWise. Anyway, so before I get into all of that, this is one that just hit me right between the chops, right? I'm like, why wouldn't anybody be using AI for this? Did you realize that you can go into ChatGPT, you can put your competitors' websites into ChatGPT and say, I want you to investigate these companies. I want you to learn everything there is to know about these companies from the website and beyond. Do Google search all other engines, and then create a report that highlights these businesses against my business with features and benefits. And now you have, and put it in a table. And I've done that, right? For other companies, they're like, "Oh, how would I do that?" And I'm like, I'll spend the weeks to figure it out. 10 minutes later, I've got a whole table with check marks. Hey, they do this, they don't do that. 24-hour calling. You can do that. Why wouldn't you spend $20? I mean, look, if I told any business out there, hey, for $100, I'll tell you everything you want to know about your competitor and how they stack up next to you. You can do that with every competitor there is for $20. This is why some of these research teams, these executive assistants and roles like that, it's going to go to the wayside. As a matter of fact, in this report, Brent, I've got a whole bunch of industries listed that are probably going to get negated because of AI.
Yeah, I was looking at that this morning as well. I've come up with several things that I was going through things that we use every day.
Share with everybody what we actually use, what you do.
Go high level, which is, we'll put a link down the bottom. I can't tell you how many business owners I talk to on a day-to-day basis. They're like, "Yeah, I do an email marketing campaign and blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "How do you set that up?" And they're like, "I just, type the email, and I just remember every third Tuesday or whatever, I got to send this email." And I'm like, "Why don't you set that up automated?" Because here's the deal, like an HVAC contractor, for instance, he has a customer. Let's say I'm his customer. I call and hire him. I Google search and I get ABC HVAC. They come out, they do a fantastic job, love them. 3 years later, I'm like, well, I remember they popped at the top of Google search, so I type it in, and now it's XYZ contractor. Yeah, that's them, and I hired them. If they have an engagement campaign, helpful newsletter type deal, then they're always staying in front of that customer. Now, that customer may unsubscribe, and then you can't do nothing about that, but you send them once a month an email, and then they're like, they start remembering ABC, instead of spend time to do all the automations. And they'll also, on Go High Level, they have an AI chat bot plus AI marketing in there. So there is so much inside that tool. It's a big tool.
Before you roll, this is a relevant stat to what you just said. Yeah. Utilizing Go High Level, which, by the way, we're agency based. We have the development team. We can build out whatever a person wants for their company. If you're not using it, you're crazy. But Harvard Business said it takes 11 to 12 touches for a sales associate to actually garner a sale on average, right? Then they went on to say that the average sales associate rarely touches a client beyond 4 to 5 times. Now, if it takes 11 to 12 times for them to become a client on average, and they're only touching them 4 to 5 times, they're missing the mark on the nurturing. So what you're talking about there, the AI aspect, creating these sequences and these workflows to where that client's always getting touched and you're always forward in their mind, is everything.
Yeah, and I have it set up right now. Literally all of our reps, all I have to do is type in the word drip, and it tags the person drip, and they get the email. And they get 1 email a week. No, I'm not blowing people's emails up, but 1 a week with helpful tips and tricks and whatever else to help them, understand what we're doing to help them. So, I mean, and you know how long it took me to create that?
Very little time.
An hour I created 40 emails with a wait of 7 days between each email, and it posted live. So, and what happens after 40 emails? It cycles back. So it's a never ending deal.
Okay.
You go back to the first email. They're not going to remember the first email you sent them. So you just start back over. And
so there's people watching this right now. They're going, they're a Cocker Spaniel waiting on you to throw the tennis ball. But I'm going to tell you guys this. This is really, really important, especially when it comes to email marketing or any way you touch people. Make sure it has real, useful, relevant content to the person that you're talking to. Because if you're sending them stuff that's just buy my stuff, they're not going to see any value in it, and then they're not going to open up those emails. But if you provide value to people when you create these automations, which I know you do, but most people are watching, they're going, well, that's really cool.
You got to tell them the benefit of what it is that you do differently than the competitor.
Right. So, and you could learn a lot about those competitor analysis with AI. So you had more.
I do have more. So Apollo.io.
What do they do?
They're a lead gen
Oh, that's strong. Okay.
They're lead gen, so you can literally go into Apollo and search for trucking companies or HVAC companies or who's your market. You can say I want to talk to all HVAC companies that are doing between $1 million and $1.1 million a year in the entire United States, or maybe I only want Dallas, or maybe I only want Boston, or maybe I only want LA. You can pinpoint all those right there in Apollo. It dials it down, number of employees. You can do whatever you want to do there.
So this is a way a business can actually go and capture leads.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
You know how we used to do it back in the day.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, you don't.
I don't know. I don't know how it was in the 20s.
We had something called a Thomas Register, right? It was the Thomas Register was probably 5-10 times the size of the Encyclopedia Britannica collection, and there's these big green books with this super light paper, and you just sort through it, and you look up industries, and you'd have to take copious notes from it, because you certainly couldn't take one of those boat anchor boats and books and put it up on your Ditto machine, commonly known as a copy machine. We called them Ditto machines. Anyway.
How old are you?
Old enough to know better and young enough to repeat it. But that's how we did it. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. So, Apollo.
There's Apollo. Riverside FM.
Okay.
That's where when we streamed with Brittany Winter.
Oh, and she was a guest on the show.
And we had it set up over here on the side. That's where we use them, and they have AI stuff built into their platform, and they also will help you with editing and stuff like that for your video. We use them when we bring people in, and so does Brandon when we bring people in. He's actually one that turned me on to it.
Are you going to put those links in the description?
Yep.
Okay.
And I have two more.
Okay.
And most people don't even realize this one. QuickBooks.
I mean, I've heard of QuickBooks.
We use QuickBooks.
My wife's used QuickBooks forever.
I've used QuickBooks for 25 years.
Yeah.
They have AI built into it now. On the online version, where it'll actually memorize your transactions coming out of your bank account. And once you tell it, hey, this is gas, and it will identify at the gas station when you spend the money on a soda versus gas, and it will say this is personal or this is business, and if you're in your hometown versus out of your home, it's in there.
So we use that in our own business. Yep. I know, but I don't get involved with that side of it a whole lot. But so you can literally tell it, you can engage the AI, and this is going to cut off a ton of work, I would assume.
Yeah,
in identifying when you reconcile bank statements,
automatically putting the transactions in the bank. So whenever something comes in, if it doesn't know the answer to it, you tell it the answer, where it goes, and it memorizes that. So that transaction comes again, it already categorizes it for you.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, that just took
bookkeepers?
A bookkeeper.
Yeah.
And I mean, not necessarily take their job, because there's things you can't do that it can't do yet.
There's no escaping it. The Industrial Revolution negated the job of beasts of burden, horses and oxen and steer and stuff like that. It just got rid of them. And then the people that it took to drive those oxen and steer, and the people that took to take care of them, and all of the salary and all the yokes and things like that, it killed that whole industry. There's a whole thing that went to the wayside. Industrial Revolution, right? Yep. The steam engine.
Well, and that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
I have probably one of the most powerful ones of all. I'm getting ready to tell you.
Okay. I'm ready.
Liveplan.com.
What now?
Liveplan. And so what do you got to do as a business owner? You got to make plans. You got to do things in the right sequence and order, or you're going to be left behind, and you're going to be going, what happened to this? What happened to that? This thing actually it's like $30 a month, and it will actually plug in, tell you exactly. It'll give you a business plan. It'll tell you where your finances.
We do business plans for people.
I know. It'll do a business plan for people, but it's not. It's more of a overview of your business, and it will give you some ideas and things to do. It'll talk to you about. It'll show your cash flow. You connect your bank and everything to it. It works on all that stuff, so it takes you to that next level. Obviously, you can't beat the software that we have with Profit Turing.
No,
but that is an alternative for people.
So that's actually really cool. So it's essentially a software. Somebody's already written all the prompts. That's one of the hard things for people when it comes to AI. They're like, well, I don't know what to say. It's like a first date, right? I don't know what to say. I'm a little nervous. But the reality is that you can be more black and white with AI than you ever thought you could be. And it's a great exercise, right? You just say, I want this. This is how I want it. That's not how I want it. This is how I want it. Do it again.
Yep.
Now you're getting closer, but do it again. And you can literally say, and AI doesn't get too offended. It's just always interesting.
I've tried to offend it.
I get to typing on mine. I'll have a string a mile long going when I'm prompting and stuff like that. And I'll say thank you and are you ready? And now I don't get so lost in the communication because it's really friendly back. You say, hey, I appreciate that. Yeah, whenever you're ready, let's do it. And I'm like, God, I love you, whoever you are. So one of the things that people fear a lot, and let me find it here, is the type of jobs that are at risk as it relates to AI. Because that's the question.
I'm
scared.
That's a huge.
AI is going to take my job. Mr. T is going to take my job because we're spending money bad. That happens too.
So
right?
as you said that, AI is Doge for the small business owner.
There you go.
That's it.
I mean, that's a really good way. I mean, it's relevant. It's timely. So customer support help desks, right? Jobs at risk, call centers, chat support representatives, email support staff, right? These are jobs where you paid people. Well, we need some email support staff. You got to read those emails and then respond to those emails. We're going to need some chat support representatives. That was where people communicated on the web, and they would send you a message, and you have a live person responding to them. My name's Bob. What can I do for you?
I had a company that I'm not going to throw them out there yet because I'm still trying to meet their CEO.
Okay.
But we send clients to them all the time, and I went on there. I was like, they don't have no phone number. They don't have an email. They finally gave me an email after I went to the chat prompt and started talking to them. But the chat prompt was giving our clients, the wrong information compared to what the website said.
Right.
And I know that's AI, and they didn't train it. They didn't tell it what to do and how to say. And so I'm in an email exchange with one of their other reps, and I'm like, just so you know, and they're like, this person's name, Erle, I don't know what her name is. She's available 24/7, 365 days a year. Well, that means she's AI. And that means you didn't train her. And it's giving us misinformation. So
it is nuts what things happen. I mean,
I can put an AI robot to tell anybody anything they want to know, but whether or not you train it.
Well, you've got to train it, right? That's the thing about AI, right? You can teach it how to open a door, but if you don't teach it how to unlock the door, it still can't open the door.
Right.
You teach it how to unlock the door, you put a barrier in front of the door. Now you have to teach it how to remove the barrier. That's the AI associated with robotics and things like that. But if you look at these jobs that are at risk, call centers, chat support agents, email, AI replaces it. AI chatbots. Pretty simple. We've got an incredible one. It knows more than we know, and we've been doing it for years. You and I collectively been building businesses over 60 years, and it knows more than we know. And all we're doing is doing this education dump into it and then saying, hey, learn about this because I'd like to learn about it, but I don't have the bandwidth and time. And it goes and learns about it. And now it answers all the questions for you. It is right there on your website. You got a question about this business. If you're in the hose and fittings business, it'll teach you everything about weatherhead gates, air equip, Daco, just whatever you want to know. It can escalate issues, and then it can send it over to the human element when it needs to. It's crazy. Data entry. Data entry is a big thing. We just talked about that, like the thing that I did with chat for my cousin.
Yep.
I mean, here's the data entry. We created a whole table on that, and it's going to affect finance, legal, healthcare, logistics, content writing. I mean, that's where all kind of write me a dirty limerick. If you're in the limerick business, you're pretty well set with AI. It is mind-blowing. It's just list after list after list, and this that we pulled down and jobs that are risen. But what about personal assistants? I mean, people that pay personally, hey, I need you to get this done. By the way, I need you to collate this report. I need you to do that. $20 a month.
Yep.
Let's just go. Just tell it what you want it to do. Move the files over. Bam, it's done. You get a perfect report.
You know what's interesting with ChatGPT? So I want an email to go out to people. And I'm like, well, how do I formulate it? And so I'll tell ChatGPT, go to tjcorporatecredit.com, make a email using emojis that want people to
gotta love
engage,
the emojis
that want people to engage, and your goal here is to have them schedule an appointment with me. It does it. And if I don't like it, try again. You suck.
Yeah, and that's what people, the fear associated with. Literally, if a business isn't using that, and here's the funny thing. If you go over here, and this is where I was leaning on, because businesses, they're afraid of it, right? People are afraid of it. People are afraid of AI. Resistance from employees is the number one reason that AI is not being incorporated into business, because people are like, hey, Bob, you don't need that convoluted, crazy stuff up in here now. Come on, I've been doing this for 30 years. You don't need that. And that's what happens, because they think they're going to get replaced, but it still takes a human element to do it. So what you got to do is you got to educate people, right? And then you got to find the people within your team that are going, yeah, I'd like to try that. Yeah, I'll spearhead it, because as a business owner, you're busy overseeing the business. You don't have time to do that, but you can negate a lot of the issues. What about human error? I mean, human error is a huge thing. If you were to try to go through all of those hundreds and thousands of emails back and forth between a land developer and a landowner, and put it together chronologically with the time and formulate it perfectly on massive strings, it would take you forever.
Right.
It took a matter of seconds for it to do it, and to put it in a nice, organized manner. Experiment. I mean, it's just, you guys, we'll send this to you, but we could talk about this. We could literally do a 10-hour show just on AI and how you can use ChatGPT and things like that. But for $20 a month, I mean, you can make money with it.
Yeah, absolutely can.
We don't have to worry so much on our end, because the things that we do are so succinct to business. It requires that human element laced with the know-how. People wonder, I ain't got nobody up here in my business that's going to get on no AI, and they ain't going to like it. And I get that, right? But we happen to like it. We happen to have the people that do like it. So we have a lot of different pivot points for people, whether it's the construct of business or all the different things that we do. But I think the message today is really getting people to adopt it, to embrace it. And if embracing it just means write me a love letter to my wife and make it really gooey, mushy, and pretend like I'm Tom Cruise, but I'm not really Tom Cruise. It'll do it.
My wife watches our podcast. I maybe have done that once. Sorry, honey. But you know what? You're 100% right. If a business owner, we keep saying this over and over and over and over. Mm-hmm. If you're not utilizing AI, what's going to happen to you? You're going to get left behind. You got to figure out, even if you don't want to, look, at the end of the day, I was always that guy. I didn't want to let people go to replace it with AI. But at the end of the day, teach that person to be your AI specialist. Let them run it.
AI is not a trend.
No.
This isn't a trend. This isn't, it's the flavor of the month.
This is tier one of where this thing's going to go. And it's going to be 100 tiers before we know it, because it's moving because it's smart. We're moving so fast with it. I mean, like, you see the Tesla robots. I mean, there is so much coming in the next probably 5 months. And I was going to say 5 years, but probably 5 months.
Brent, there's stuff that's here that we don't even know about.
I know.
And we're talking about AI. We're talking about utilizing something as simple as ChatGPT in your own business. There's so much more that we do use, and we use the InVideo, and we use Canva, and what's the Opus, and break these things into
Clip and vidIQ, and
can you imagine if we didn't have those things? Can you imagine the workload?
Well, you know what? I'll tell you the workload real quick. So, first 6 months of starting our YouTube channel, we had around 3,000 views. Started using Opus Clip and vidIQ for optimization using AI.
Right.
I haven't even told you yet. I'm waiting for the next number to come in, but we hit 150,000 views in the past 60 days.
Wow. That much?
Yeah.
You got to be kidding me. This is a long episode. I don't even know if you guys are hanging out this long. This is crazy.
We haven't even got through our stuff yet.
We haven't even got to the other one. There is this much stuff to talk about. All right. So we're going along. Hey, look. Bottom we'll edit it. He knows that he hasn't gotten any of that. There's so much with it, so much going on with AI, and the way that we utilize it in business. They can call us. You can contact us. We love hearing from the people that are watching the show. This is just little touch points that we're doing here. Today on GrindWise is bourbon, ball caps, and business, like it always is. But at the end of it all, if you aren't using it, you're getting left behind. You're going to get left behind in a big way, and you don't want that to happen. Today, we talked about AI. We talked about ChatGPT. We talked about how $20 and the right person can change everything in your business right now, whether it be understanding what your competitors doing out there in the marketplace or understanding how you need to be approaching your business. To be fiscally responsible, you have to take steps that make you shine in that regard. But we talk about all this stuff here on GrindWise. We're excited to have you every single time. Make sure that you hit us up in the DMs, talk to us, tell us what you want us to talk about. Hit that like, subscribe, smash that button, whatever you got to do, because we aren't going to stop. It's what we do. We love it. Look for the content over in the description. We'll be happy to share that stuff with you. We're not going to charge anything for it. We're happy to share it. But Brent, it's GrindWise. It's Bourbon, Ball Caps, and Business. I got to say, brother, it's been a while. I'm out.